Hello, welcome to Unbearable. The topic of this video is why is Disney Star Wars failing? With all the crap that's been going on lately, with franchises being subverted for political causes, with franchises being subverted for profit and basically turned into sucky garbage, I finally felt I had to say something about something. You know, I mean, after all, what else can we do? Is we could say it and hopefully it influences people. You know. So first, let me give you my perspective on Star Wars, so you understand where I'm coming from. I first saw Star Wars when I want to say 4 or 5 years old in '78. No, sorry, in the year Return of the Empire Strikes Back came out. So 1980, they re-released Star Wars, if I remember correctly, and I went to see that with my aunt. And then my aunt and my uncle took me to see Empire Strikes Back, if I remember the sequence correctly. So I saw them both in the same year. I thought it was one of the best things I'd ever seen. Almost as good as Battlestar Galactica, which I'd seen on TV and loved. And of course Star Trek, which I grew up on. So over the years, obviously I had tons of Star Wars toys, and like many of my generation, Star Wars was one of the things you grew up with. I thought the prequel trilogy was okay. I liked Clone Wars more, TV animation cartoon, more than I liked the prequel trilogy. Though I loved Qui-Gon as a character. He is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I just didn't like overall progress of the movies. I loved the old EU in terms of books and comics. I kind of fell away from it because of when they killed Mara Jade, who was literally one of my two favorite Star Wars characters along with Luke, and how they killed her and who they had killed her. I won't spoil it, people who haven't come back and read it, but I literally burnt all of my Star Wars books, the novels, and refused to buy another one even to this day. So when Disney bought Star Wars, I was hopeful that they would, because Lucas was getting old, and so that Disney would be able to invest some more, maybe produce some more movies. I like the idea originally of Star Wars having of movies like Rogue One or Solo conceptually, which would not be related to the main story, it'd just be adventures, And so when Rogue One came out, it was an okay movie until the last two acts, when it became a very good movie. And to this day, if I rewatch Star Wars, I rewatch Rogue One and the OT, and that's it. I haven't watched the prequel trilogy in years. I've watched all the Disney trilogy once. I watched Solo once, but I break it up into 4 chunks to get through it. I will always watch something once to form my opinion on it. Okay. So what did I like about Disney Star Wars? I'll start with the positives. I liked Rogue One a lot. That final act, especially, is arguably the best final act of any Star Wars movie ever. And because that final act was so strong, the callback in The Mandalorian to it with Luke's similar scene for different cause, that's why it resonated. One of the reasons it resonated, aside from being Return of Luke. I like the Darth Vader comic series that came out. It probably has the most badass moment for Vader in Vader's history. Arguably, it's certainly the greatest single panel of any any comic book for Star Wars ever. It's this one I'm going to pop on the screen. I think it's issue 15 or something like that, or 17, where Vader is trapped on the planet. He crash lands, and there are like hundreds and thousands of rebels on the planet, and says we're going to take down Vader. And it comes down to this scene, and Vader drops that line: "Lay down your weapons. You are surrounded." And Vader says, "All I am surrounded by is fear and dead men." Obviously the Star Wars music is great. John Williams, of course. And The Mandalorian came along, and I was like, oh, I like Favreau's work on other stuff. I like Filoni's work on the Clone Wars. Not so much the second cartoon series, animated series, which is okay, but I didn't like Ezra the character, Though I do love Ahsoka. Ahsoka is probably my 4th or 5th favorite Star Wars character. And at the end of Mandalorian, I had a lot of hope, Even with the Gina Carano nonsense, I'm not going to get into the politics of it. It's not. I'm going to try to keep politics to a relative minimum here. I was like, okay, so they made a setback with the Carano thing, but they're doing well with the story and the work that Favreau and Filoni were going to come out with these TV shows seemed like it would be entertaining. Okay, so that's the good of it. Now the bad of it, obviously, the other three movies. The first movie, the Force Awakens, was okay. It was a one-time watcher, popcorn flick, and if the sequels had been of equal value, I probably would watch them once in a while. But I honestly thought The Force Awakens was better overall than the three prequel movies. Okay? As a movie, as a story, you can make the argument that it was worse, but as a movie, it was better. That's because J.J. Abrams knows how to make popcorn movies, basically. Even if his movies have no plot, he knows how to make them. Then The Last Jedi came out, and again, not going greatly into it, but I'll just say I was repulsed by what they did to Luke Skywalker. It was character assassination. He is one of my 5 or 6 iconic characters. As a little boy looking for your heroes in stories, Luke Skywalker was one of them. And that movie deconstructed his character to the point where people call him Jake Skywalker. Well, I just don't even. I was like, okay, I guess Disney Star Wars isn't for me. But I gave The Rise of Skywalker a shot, and that movie was horrible. Not from the point of view of the story they tell. Well, the point I'm about to make here, okay? Because it all came down to the Book of Boba Fett, okay? And that's when I fundamentally realized it's been mulling in my head what the problem with Disney Star Wars is, okay? And it's a problem you will see in many other modern films, movies. It gets masked by all this identity politics stuff they keep putting into things. I'm not going to talk about any of that. Any of the woke stuff, I'm not going to talk about that. Any of the subversion or whatever. That's none of this. Okay, you don't have to worry. None of that's in this video. Even though I oppose that stuff, I guess you would say center right and libertarian, but I'm willing to live and let live. What's wrong with Disney Star Wars? Why is Disney Star Wars failing? Well, here's the truth. Okay, if anyone hears this, I don't know, it's my first video. It's going to get 10 views and disappear into the bowels of YouTube's 1 billion videos. Okay, but truth is this: the reason Disney Star Wars is failing is the writing. Okay, the bad writing that characterizes almost everything in Disney Star Wars. Some of the novels I've kind of tried to read. Most of the comics I've tried to read, other than Star Wars, the Darth Vader series, which had its good moments and bad. Certainly the Disney trilogy. Oh my God, the Han Solo. That Han Solo had the worst movie I have ever seen outside of a Highlander sequel. That's saying something. Okay. And the Book of Boba Fett. Okay. So I'll give you a few examples, just some simple ones so you get kind of what I'm saying, okay? We're supposed to believe, in the Disney trilogy sequencing, that Luke went crazy due to a dream and he tried to murder his nephew because of a dream, a force vision. Now, Luke is supposed to be not influenced by his emotions, like not letting him control. That was the whole point of the scene from the writing point of view, not the point of view of what they want to do with the character of Luke thematically. I'm just saying from the writing the stuff, the sequence of events. Okay, they write that Luke, who had overcome his emotions and became a Jedi Knight and did not give in to the dark side in Return of the Jedi, and that's the big critical moment. Somehow, the older, more mature Luke gets overwhelmed by a dream. Okay? Or to take it away from Luke. Think of Rose Tico. Seemed like an interesting character when they first introduced her. I mean, most of the characters I'll say this, and I know I'll get flack for this from the people who tend to be on my side, not liking these films. Most of the characters in the Disney films, at least, could have been interesting. Okay, and the actors weren't bad. I feel most of the actors got the short shrift on this one. Okay, so Rose Tico. So Rose Tico, she's written to have saved Flynn, right, from his suicide run, if I remember the sequence correctly. And she's supposed to be an intelligent rebel operator. She knows that if Flynn is going to do what he does, it's going to stop them from being all killed. Yet she saves him because everyone would die. But that will let them all be killed. I'm not, now they wrote her to do something horribly stupid. So this is, but she's not intended to be a stupid character like Jar Jar, for example, who's intended to be kind of a dumbass. She's intended to be intelligent. But they wrote a character who's supposed to be intelligent doing something horribly stupid. You know why? What was the point of having that scene if, remember, let's pretend Luke never comes in. That means they die 5 minutes later. You know? Why did Rose stop there? Why didn't she stop him before that point? Why didn't she wait till he does Seafield and try to rescue him? Why didn't she go on with suicide mission to save everyone else? Bad writing. Or here's another one. The Order, the Imperial Order, I think, whatever the heck it was called. Honestly, I saw the movie once and it flew through my mind. They massively outnumber the rebels, the new Rebel Alliance. Okay. Even from the first film, you see clearly they have a resource advantage, right? So if they have this resource advantage, why did they, from the writing point of view now, why did they waste time and resources building the Starkiller base? If all that time, effort, and resource could have been put building more ships and training more troops or buying more clones, however they were doing it, and they would have won against the remnants of the New Republic / the Rebels. Bad writing. Okay. If you wanted to go with something like a Starkiller base, it should have been better writing, to get you there. Or, here's another thing about writing. Remember I said the actors, for the most part, fairly decent, and they were given crap to work with. Like, why are we supposed to care about these new characters? What about their writing in the Disney trilogy made you interested in these characters? Like what? And when I say interested, I don't mean like is there something about them you like or dislike. I mean as part of the story. Okay. When we first met Princess Leia, for example, she was being interrogated by Darth Vader. So we have Vader with the awesome entrance, the menacing, awesome entrance, and we see some of the battles in the Fear Stormtrooper, the opening of, remember, I'm talking years ago when just Star Wars New Hope was out, before we even had Rogue One or anything that we knew would happen before that, right? His introduction to Vader made us interested in what is this guy's role in the story. And then Leia, she was obviously had the intelligence. Vader was trying to get her from her. What was her interest in the story? She was standing up to him. She had some rejoinders and all that. Then we go to the planet and we get R2, D2, and C3PO, and they're written in such a way that you're curious about what are they going to do in the story. And likewise, you get to Luke, and they keep making you interested in what this character is going to do in the story, and make you want to follow their journeys. Even the glimpses of the Emperor we see in the first two films, with Vader talking to him in The Empire Strikes Back, we're intrigued by what is this character going to do in the story. Then you get to the prequel trilogy, the Disney trilogy, and the characters just appear as if they're filling in spaces between set fight scenes. Like in a video, like if you're playing story mode Tekken 3 from back in the day, and you're like, oh, now Jin is gonna go fight this guy, and like, but what? You don't care how Jin got there. You just want to see the fight or make the fight happen. That's they made when they wrote these Disney sequels, they did not construct the story in a way that made you want to follow the characters through it, and therefore, if you don't want to follow the characters through it, you're not going to want to see the event. Okay? So, more discussion on the writing. So, what was the point of the Disney trilogy? I mean, we know what the point of the OT was. Bring balance to the Force by destroying the Sith, and then freeing the galaxy from the tyranny of the Galactic Empire. It's pretty straightforward what they did in that. Okay, in the PT, it's how the Emperor did the opposite. How he brought imbalance to the Force by suppressing the living Force and making the universe more powerful. This allowed the dark side to become more powerful, so you could which is more accessible, and that followed the Sith path, and so forth. And Rise of the Galactic Empire, and so forth. Rogue One, straightforward story. How did the rebels get those plans? Okay, because when they dropped that line in Star Wars: A New Hope, and it said many Bothans died for these plans. Um, that was a world building line that Rogue One built on very well. The story, that was the point to the Rogue One story. Okay, and I could go on with the Clone Wars animated series. Not, the second one, obviously, it was a first shorter one, which was entertaining, but it was the second Clone Wars very clearly showed you the progress, especially of Anakin, what made Anakin fall in the third film. If you just watch the second and third films, episodes 2 and 3, I should say, why Anakin went from the Anakin we saw in 2, who was loyal and heroic, to the Anakin who so easily just do what Palpatine said, it's kind of missing. But Lucas intended for that to be told in the EU. And the Clone Wars showed that progress. It showed Ahsoka and her loss helping to bring Anakin down. When she left the Jedi Order and do the false charges and so forth. The Clone Wars had a point to the story. And then I could go on with the New Jedi Order series and novels, Star Wars Dark Empire, and so probably one of my favorite the Star Wars comic series is the Dark Empire. So what is the Disney trilogy about? What is the point of this story? Okay, and Disney never sold anyone on that. And we can go on and on about all the woke stuff in the world that we want, or in politics, but fundamentally, from a writing point of view, they didn't sell us. So where does it leave us? Well, this is the Book of Boba Fett. Okay, the follow-up series to The Mandalorian, which is supposed to tell you the next step in that subset of the story, next book, so to speak, or that Favreau and Filoni were telling you in that subset of the universe. And I like Boba Fett's return and his use in The Mandalorian. Yes, The Mandalorian had its flaws, but it had some exciting pieces, and it was self-contained, and it wasn't out. The Mandalorian wasn't out there to blow up another Death Star or have a fight off the Yuuzhan Vong like a massive galactic invasion in the Legends / Lucas trilogy series. It told the story about the Mandalorian and his journey through, mostly with Grogu, but also his journey of self-discovering some issues about himself and all that too. So and it would give us Boba Fett back, and so we got to the Book of Boba Fett, which I bet everyone who was interested in this Boba Fett series thought very well that this is going to be a slightly less pragmatic Boba Fett, meaning Boba Fett was kind of a ruthless bounty hunter with a little bit of a sense of honor, in the sense that he knew he was a kind of a bad guy, but he didn't go out of the way to be an evil guy type of thing, So, and now this Boba Fett from The Mandalorian was maybe still going to be a bad guy, but maybe like a bit of an anti-hero. Did we get that in this? No. We got Boba Fett, the criminal underworld counselor, who wants to make all the bad guys who are in his criminal empire work together and be more productive. The go-go Boba Rangers, as some people call it. And then right in the middle of the series, when you at least should be seeing, okay, how is this going to resolve to see if the story does go anywhere? We get season 2.5 of The Mandalorian. There are rumors that Disney that Favreau and Filoni pulled the plug on the Book of Boba Fett because of wasn't being well received. I don't know. Don't know any of that. Rumors are pointless. I'm only talking about the writing in the series. They wrote Boba Fett into a hole called bullshit. There was no point to this Book of Boba Fett as it was originally presented and as it turned out. And that is fundamentally why Disney Star Wars is failing and will continue to fail. Regardless of the politics involved, the identity politics, regardless of Kathleen Kennedy or Jon Favreau, regardless of what people on my side, the fandom menace and all that you keep throwing bad writing at this, it's going to keep sucking. And that's the unbearable news for today. And as if you like it, if you like what I said, hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you.